Hello, good day to you guys, and welcome to our sixth session of our subject ITAS 1. So we are now on chapter 4 of our programming subject for this day. So we are still on the introduction of programming, and we are now on week 4, week number 6 of our subject. So our objectives are as follows. Number 1, explain the logic behind repetition structures. Number 2, design, develop appropriate algorithms with exception handling techniques. And number 3, appreciate the use of try, catch, finally. So for our topic for this morning is about exception handling. And handling is defined as an event that occurs during the execution of a program that is expected by the program code. So the actions to be performed in the case of occurrence of an exception is not known to the program. So in such a case, we create an exception object and call the exception handler code. So the execution of the exception handler so that the program code does not crash is called an exception handling. So therefore, exception handling is important because it gracefully handles an unwanted event and exception so that the program code will still make sense to the user. So in other words, guys, in our terminology, exception handling is the remedy of your compiler so that it will be not segregated but eventually meet up with the program that you're typing on your programming subject or programming forms. So in every language, there's an exception. The exception of execution and the exception of handling events and conjugations. So in our case, for C#, this provides a structured solution to the exception handling in the form of try, catch, and blocks. So we will discuss try, catch, finally, throw later on. Using these blocks, the core program statements are separated from the error handling statements. So therefore, during the segregation of the statement, it usually coincides with probability of the cause of action within the program itself or the program that you are handling. So again, exceptions in the application must be handled to prevent crashing of the program and unexpected results. So example of this are log exception and continue with other functionalities. So this is to prevent error. Okay, before we go to our activity, let me discuss to you guys the try, catch, finally, throw. So the exceptions provide a way to transfer control from one part of the program to another. And the C# exception handling is built upon the 4 keywords. No? So we have the try, the catch, the finally, and throw. So apat siya. So when you speak about try is a block identifies a block of code for which particular exception is activated, and it is followed by one or more catch blocks. So try means you try again, or the try blocks are being executed again, all over again. For the catch naman, this is the program that catches an exception with the handler at the place in the program where you want to handle the problem. So the catch word indicates the catching of an exception. So for catching naman, this refers to the program that is catched or given to a state or a program where you want to handle the problem. So the catch there is the keyword that indicates the catching of an exception. And then for the finally is a block used to execute a given set of statements. So whether an exception is thrown or not thrown. So again, if it is thrown, for example, if you want to open a file, it must be closed whether an exception is raised or not. So this means to say that you have to adhere to the final execution of the program where it is being closed and the exception is raised or not. And then the last one is the throw. For the throw, this refers to the program exception where your problem shows up, and this is done using the throw keyword. So for the syntax, assuming that a block raises an exception, a method catches the exception using the combination of the try and the catch words. So as you can see on the following code, that's for the syntaxes. So the code within the try-catch block is transferred or referred to as protected code. So tandaan nyo, try and catch is block is referred to as protected code. And the syntax for using try-catch looks like the following. So amo diagwa na. Now in our example guys, for activity 11, so you can see the group of codes that is being shown to you. And this is the exceptions occur in the program. Now, for most of our examples in our videos, we ought to have some explanation for the examples. But now, at this time guys, I cannot encode the program sa compiler or sa online IDE just because I am in a seminar and I don't have access to the internet. So, it's up to you. I will leave to you this one encoding for the so yeah, all you have to do is to encode this, I suggest, and not only copy paste this. So usually during our examples gina copy paste natin that para nga dasig, but I suggest encode din siya. Now the encoding for this, if you cannot finish it within this week, we are going to have face-to-face next week guro guys, kasi third week itang schedule. So you can actually do that in our activity. But be sure guys that you have to, for this week, you still have to do coding 111 or the activity 11. Okay? So you can see there, using the statement as same as usual. Pero, explain ko lang guys ang code ha. So we have the class GFG and then the static void for the declaration. And then the array of the mass index for 4, you can see there 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the array. And then you have the display value for the elements. Then you have the inclusion of the an increment for the for statement for the integer within starting from 0. And then the array that is being displayed will be displayed on the console. So this one, I think guys, mag-code ka mo kadaya sa activity 11 naton. Please indicate another close parenthesis. So may may kulang kita nga isa ka open brace, ka close brace. So butangan niyo ka close brace sa punta, then mapara ninyo ang code. Okay? So let's go to exception classes in C#. So there are a lot of exception classes and description. I will leave to you the reading of this in your module. So, piradya kabilog. Duro sanda, may 8 kabilog. So, these are exception classes. And exception classes are represented by classes. And the exception classes in C# are mainly directly or indirectly derived from the system.exception class. So, meaning to say, just like the library nga tong kagina, ang sa code naton nga diya, ang library nga naton is using system. For this one, the system.exception. So you are recalling a program from system.exception. And some of the exception classes derived from this are classes that are system application exception and system exception classes. So dua. So the first one is the system application exception. This one supports exception generated by application program. Therefore, the exception defined by the programmer should derive from these classes. Ang encode ninyo bala ka so application exception day Pero magambal ka mo nga system exception. This is the base class for all the predefined system exception. So meaning to say, tanan-tanan exception dyan nag-start sa exception system exception. So the if you are going to have activity 12A, so this is an example of this is exception handling using try-catch block. So try-catch block sa program. Then the code given below shows that we can have the handle exception using the try-catch block. So dua try-catch. So ang syntax na is try kag catch. Okay. So for this one, for this activity 12A, the code that may generated in the exception is placed inside the try block. And the 7th element put inside the try block, but when that statement executed, it is generated an index out of range exception. So you will notice when you're going to run the code for this one, Mind you guys, hindi siya complete. So, ang ana nga sugpon is this one. So, the explanation for this is very simple, no? So, this is the exception handling of the above code of 12A. 12A daya guys, activity. So, the same thing using system and then class program system exception. You are using static void main for strings. For strings kita. So, the value must be a string. But then, an integer that is arranged in your array for index 4. Sa dalom, you can see the display value of the array elements. May for statement. Then may try ka nga program kag catch. So I think for this code, guys, please indicate another close parenthesis sa dalom na continuation so that you can run the program. Okay, so I think that is all for this activity naton. I cannot answer your question, guys, because we are not on session, no. But I will post the video of this activity, and guys, please indicate your attendance sa YouTube. So put there present for your attendance. Okay, so thank you very much, guys, and thank you for having me. So until dyan lang kita, Anay. Thank you, kid. Bye-bye.